Coruscant skips out and goes to Martin. He scores the try. Yes, Liam. Coruscant.
Hello and welcome to Friday Lines. I'm your host, Luke O'Brien, aka OB. Friday Lines is proudly brought to you by Little Birdie TV and topsport.com.au, punting form and Manscaped, all your essential items for life. Joining me today for all things AFL, as he does every week, is MG. Welcome, MG.
OB, how are you, mate?
Good, thank you. Bit of news just dropping in AFL. We'll get to that shortly. And up in Orange, the doyen of rugby league is Toprope. And welcome to you, Toprope.
It's good to be back in Orange, OB, and not from the Caribbean circa 1985.
Let's just hope the home phone doesn't ring for the next half an hour or so. We'll get through. Plenty of off-field news in both codes, but we'll get to the AFL first, MG. And the coaching merry-go-round is sort of looks like it's falling into place. Alistair Clarkson's confirmed that he's coaching North Melbourne for the next 5 years, which means Essendon are just on a hiding to nothing. You don't sort of rumour to sack your coach and move him on without someone else lined up. The ghosts that walk the hallways of Windy Hill are just going to strike again. They want Hurd back, heard this, heard that. Well, if I was a young draftee, I wouldn't want to go and play at Essendon under that regime. But it's all happening this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do, OB. Their confidence will be dinted as well. Essendon fancy losing out to the Kangaroos. Shows how bad the spot they are in, Essendon, with couldn't get Clarkson to your team, and he favours the Kangaroos for his reasons. But I'm not sure what they're going to do. Obviously, Ben Rutten, he's a dead man walking. He can't coach next year after no confidence vote virtually. So Essendon are going to have to look for a coach, and going to have to start again. I don't know, maybe the master Kevin Sheedy had the plan all along. He's just going to slip back in and said, I'll get this club back on track.
Oh, have another red, Kev. Have another red. But it's like it's been a shambles from Essendon. That no one's come out and said anything. I heard that Ben Rutten's manager on another radio station this morning saying that he was reading he'd been sacked, but no one could give him a definitive answer. So it's just poorly handled. You feel for Ben. He fronted up to training and has handled himself really, really well. So hopefully they get that sorted. But some great on-field action, which we'll get to in a minute. Carlton, Collingwood Sunday, looks a beauty. Hawthorn Bulldogs, and then the Swans shaping the 8 in the last game of the round. But so plenty of off-field issues up in the NRL as well. Kalen Ponga out this week, illness. He's a bit sick in a toilet cubicle. Is he all right, Toprope?
It's good to have friends around you to come and hold your hair back when you're feeling a little bit sick. OB. It's just good to have that support. Tremendous teamwork. It was a little bit surprising that he was a little ill after having only been at the pub for 25 minutes. But these things do happen. It was you're talking about Essendon being in the debacle. Newcastle aren't far behind in how that club is run. His dad came out and said he was sick. I was a little bit ill. There was talk about he was under the weather and was drunk. He'd been at the pub for 25 minutes. No one can get their story straight. First rule of lying at a footy club: get your story straight. And the Knights showing the same kind of cohesion they do when they're trying to spread the ball. And that little wonder they ranked last in attack and last in lying in the NRL. So, it's a disaster. And the fact that Adam O'Brien still has a job. Talk about the Essendon coach. Not knowing where he stands. It's disgraceful that the Newcastle coach does know where he stands. He should be out. He should have been out. He should have been out months ago.
And PVL, just a bit of light humour during the week, just sort of saying hello to the AFL and Gill. I noticed that when Gill does a press conference, he doesn't mention inferior codes. So I'm not sure why PVL needed to sort of try and get some ratings when he was announcing that the grand final was actually staying in Sydney. So it's all not a great week for PVL up there, Toprope.
Oh no! I appreciate your humility, OB, by accepting that the AFL is an inferior code where PVL mentioned them. So I appreciate that. I thought PVL was wonderful yesterday. PVL managed to rustle up $8 million out of nothing, because the grand final was never moving. So well done, PVL. He's just proven himself. He's the most powerful person in New South Wales again, and we'll probably see the Victorian state government tried off at 20-30 million next year for the grand final. So doubt it will move, but well done to PVL. He's on a more serious note, he has changed the landscape for how the grand final is going to be decided now. He's built some competitive tension. He's He's taken away the deal that would keep the grand final in Sydney until 2042. And I think the NRL are going to be real winners out of this one. So, for whether you like his humour or not, and obviously we probably sit on different sides of the fence there, he has done a very, very, very good job in adding some value to the NRL. I think he's done a really good job. And, for a state government that said they had no money and it was all going to flood relief to find $8 million at the last minute to keep a grand final, it was always going to be played. He's made them look pretty silly as well as $8 million to the poor.
So it's actually been a humorous week up in the NRL. When I saw Parramatta have announced Trent Barrett as a new assistant coach up in lights, I thought, Jesus, I'm reading things here. But anyway, we'll get to on-field action, and an absolute beautiful game last night was Souths versus Penrith. The betting was all Souths, but then Penrith they just find a way, don't they? And 26-22 winners. They lock up the minor premiership without Cleary and Luai, and they looked in form. But I think for the first time ever, 3 votes in the Merv Cartwright medal is going to be awarded to an opposition player, Jackson Paulo. He was awful last night for the Rabbitohs. It
will go up there in the pantheon at the very top of it. As one of the worst all-time individual performances. And that'll be up there with the Paul Carriage game from the 98 Brisbane final, the Steve Maven game. And every rugby league fan is exactly what we're talking about here, the Manu Badaboy game, the Greg Smith game. This will be the Jackson Paulo game. And look, Penrith will take the 2 points, and Penrith got the W, but South Sydney lost that game. The fact that South Sydney were in there, I lost track of how many tries Jackson Paulo, if they had a plus-minus, for try causes, for tries, blind, he'd be about minus 40. He was that bad. He's blowing tries up one end. He's letting tries in at the other end. Yeah, absolutely disgraceful performance for him. Yeah, Latrell didn't have his finest game either. Yeah, first started to get passing the ball to Jackson Paulo. Fun fact: Jackson Paulo's playing that bad. Don't pass him the ball. And he was a little bit too leery last night. Too much of the Ric Flair for Latrell, but. That's the one that got away from South, probably going to cost them a top 4 spot. Penrith claimed the minor premiership, and it was a pretty courageous win from the Panthers. You've got Dylan Edwards and Liam Martin back, but still missing Nathan Cleary.
And the Bunnies, look, that they should make the 8. I think we'll all agree on that, but they've got a tough run home, and that game that they had in their grasp, might come back to bite them at some stage. But a bit of golf around as well. PGA Tour, the BMW. Keegan Bradley leads at -7 from Adam Scott, who's 6 under. Anything on the horizon there for the punters, top rope?
Got a couple riding, which I think you can still probably back at a decent price. Justin Thomas, Shane Lowry, Christian Bezaiden, and Russell Henley for me. They're all in T6 or better at the moment. So around the mark, we'll be cheering those guys on. I think if you're going to look further on the board for a bit of value, I'm on Tedeschi pre the off. He shot 1 under, but I think this is going to be a course that's going to suit. So I can see him making a little late run, probably in his last or second last tournament before he joins Live Golf. And
the Checkmaster's also on, so go to topsport.com.au for all your golf betting action. But right now it's time for Friday Lines, brought to you by topsport.com.au, family owned and operated for 35 years. Bet with a bookie you can trust, bet with topsport.com.au. And the first game tonight, the Friday night AFL fixture, Brisbane and Melbourne up at the Gabba. Brisbane $1.78, Melbourne $2.06, the line -2.5, over under 172.5. This looks an absolute beauty, MG, and about time we got an absolute cracker on Friday night.
Friday nights have been good scheduling the last month or so. You've been very tough on the AFL. Yeah, this is a belter to kick off what should be one of the better home and away games to finish a season for sure. 4th v 3rd. Brisbane hosting, obviously, both teams at 15-6, so they're bringing solid form all year. Unfortunately, the loser of this game is likely to will finish outside the top 4, so it's chips all in here late in the season to make sure you get the double chance. It is a tough road trip for Melbourne, even though they have won their last 3 in a row and they absolutely belted Brisbane early in the year. They've got a lot to overcome, Brisbane, but being at home, extra days break, I just think, there'll be some tagging going on here. Obviously, they'll tag Oliver and they'll tag Neil with Harms coming in. So the midfield might end up maybe chopping out. Brisbane are probably going to have to find one or two players if Neil is not getting his influence. But I think the key is still going to lie in the Brisbane forward 50. Their offense is ranked number one. They've got plenty of dimensions going in. It's very difficult for Melbourne to cover them all. So if Brisbane can get enough supply in, that's the end of the game that will be won for mine at the end of the ground. Sorry. So if Brisbane can probably aim to score north of 80 points, I think they'll get the job done. Hard to find a bet on either the line or the total for me. I just think every time you make a pro for one team, there's a counterbalance for this one. So I'm just going to sit back and watch a Friday night before I get into the rest of the week.
Just keep the powder dry for the weekend. As we look at the NRL game on tonight as well, the Broncos, $2.80 against the Melbourne Storm, $1.46 up there at Suncorp in the late game. The line 6.5, over under 44 points even. The NRL need the Storm to go up there to get some bums on seats, and the Storm sort of struggling a little bit, and the Broncos sort of up and down. Cameron Munster this week has come out and put contract talks on hold, so I see Kevy Walters has come out and saying that he'd love him at the Broncos, and this one looks another beauty on paper. Toprope.
Cameron Munster's contract talks by the least of his problem. He got a handwritten letter from a 92-year-old that absolutely skewered him. I think he's still rattled by that. So. Poor old Cam Munster. He'll have to make a little trek down the Cecil Street to cheer up the mood. There's no bigger domination in rugby league than Melbourne's domination of the Brisbane Broncos. Won 28 of the last 32, won 11 straight. 9 of the last 10 they've scored 30 plus the Storm. They've won the last 10 by double digits. They've won 11 straight against Brisbane at Suncorp. 5 of the last 6 by 28 plus. There's only one way to bet this game. And it's the Storm minus. You've got to be on the minus here. I thought they really kind of stamped their return to kind of top tier competitiveness with a Goodwill and a Penrith last week. That form was somewhat frank last night by their win over South. So I'll be all over the Storm in this one. I think that's a bet.
Oh, I like the confidence when Toprope talks like that, and the stats coming out left, right, and centre. It's a beautiful thing to listen to. And punters, you heard it here first. Get on the Storm at the unders. As we look at the second game of AFL action, Essendon and the Tigers, the under siege Essendon, $3.50. The Tigers, $1.31. The line, 23.5, over under 176.5. Look, you'd think Richmond every day of the week in this one. You just don't know how the Bombers are going to respond. Michael Hurley back in for his last game, which is fantastic. One of the great people of the AFL. I can't get a read on this one yet.
Yeah, I can. Talking of domination with the Melbourne Storm over Brisbane just before in the NRL with Toprope, this is a fair domination as well. Richmond have won their last 12 straight against Essendon. So that's a fair domination. Just tracking in completely different directions. Essendon's season's obviously cooked. They've lost their last 2. Richmond have won their last 3, and I think they've been trained like a good racehorse at the moment. There's a bit of JB Cummings about Hardwick this year. He's got no press on him. He's rested Martin right up until week 1 of the finals. I just like the way they've turned the corner, Richmond. This is a dead match of sorts, really. It is for Essendon. They're already on holidays.
But what happens if the Bombers come out and win? And does it look like they're playing for the coach, or no. You don't give them any chance in that regard? No,
I just think that I take the approach in this kind of thing. I don't like backing sides. I just think that the mental energy that they're burnt this week. This game is so far from their thoughts. And I understand Hurley's coming back for his send-off game and stuff like that. But Richmond will be narrow focused in this game. They'll want a really good hit out with a week off going into the finals. And someone's going to have to miss out as well in the mids when Martin does come back for sure. So, no, I just think Richmond will turn the gas on here, MCG, under lights, just with their domination. I just can't see any other way. I don't see any reason for Essendon to show anything, even if they had the capabilities. I just think they'll get the job done. I'm not saying the line's not necessarily wrong. 4 goals is a decent margin, but I just think Richmond will get the W and move on. So, I think there'll be plenty of points in the game as well. The total's starting to creep up. I think it's at a reasonable number as well, but I think this will just be a pretty loose game, and Richmond win by as much as they want.
And Tom Lynch was in some ominous form last week. I watched the first 3 quarters of that against the Hawks, and he was outstanding. As we look to the second game of this round for the NRL punters out there, Manly $4.40, the Cronulla Sharks $1.22, the line 13.5, over under 50.5. So high scoring affair by the looks of it there at homophobic headquarters. But Manly, a lot of press this week as well. One of their players obviously in a bit of strife off field, but any chance for the Sea Eagles to cause a bit of an upset here, Toprope?
No, I'd say it's going to be another rough week for homophobia, another rough week for prejudice, another rough week for supporting stabbings. Yeah, look, a little hot take there from a few of the Sea Eagles players led by Josh-illawarra. Very anti-love, very pro-stabbing religious leaders. But anyway, interesting positioning, but each to their own. More to the point, Manly are cast, they seem to, there's an obvious divide in the playing group. They've lost some key players here, Manly. This line is off the map, 9.5 to 13.5. Minus 13.5 is about as good as the market's got for you right now. You've got to be on the Sharks here. The Sharks will win this. It'd be like MG said with the Richmond game before. They will win it by as much as they want. The only kind of concern is they've got a very poor record at Brookvale. Only won 6 times in 50-odd years at the ground. Haven't won this since 2008. But I think the Sharks win this. I think it'll be a very, very high-scoring game. The total's gone up I've gone up 4 points already. There's some big over totals here as well. So love the over at the start of the week. Sharks have probably superseded that now with kind of some of the key outs that have come from Andy, particularly Ruben Garrick. So look, back in the minus, back in the overs, a lot of confidence on both.
Good to hear. As we look towards Super Sunday in the AFL now, the floating fixture, the AFL have been ridiculed a little bit for this, but Sunday I think it all comes into play. The Carlton Collingwood 3:20 game at the MCG in front of more than 90,000 people. Carlton $1.88, Collingwood $1.95, the line minus 1.5, over under 165.5. They'll be watching the early game to see how the Bulldogs and the Hawks go. They'll be wanting to see how the Blues go. This has the hallmarks of an absolutely belting Super Sunday in the AFL.
Yeah, finals come early, OB, don't they? This will be as big a game for not being a final as we can have in the home and away season. So as you said, hopefully they do get they reach that 90,000 mark. The weather looks okay, so there'll be no excuses for them to rock up, depending on the MCC members. So hopefully they turn out, because I think this contest will come down to it. I think it'll be well alive late in the game, especially the way these two teams have played out, especially Collingwood. They certainly don't bury sides by any stretch. Good spot here for Collingwood for me. They've won 13 of the last 17 against Carlton, so they've got a 13-4 dominant head-to-head record. They're covering the lines obviously close, so that's why I think it will be a close game. I think shade the points in this. 4 out of the last 5 between them have gone over. So even though it'll be a final, they've priced it reasonably at 165.5. So I would shade the overs, but keen on Collingwood here. I'm going against the market. The market's gone from basically one Collingwood to pick, and then now Carlton one favourite. I'm just going to stick with Collingwood here. I think they had to have that loss. Not that you plan these things, but I was really keen on Sydney last week. I think it's been Collingwood couldn't have planned any better. I know you don't go out to have losses, but they played okay against Sydney. They were just, they were beaten by a better side up there. It was a good loss for them to have. They would be regenerated now, rejuvenated. Sorry, they'll go into this game as a final, and this will set them up. And I just think Carlton's lost 3 weeks ago against Adelaide. I just think it's been a turning point for them. They let it 2 weeks ago. Really bad loss for them, and I just think they're not recovering. I think they're panic stations at the selection table. They've brought back, Chera, Williams and Hewitt, with maybe DeConian as well. So Collingwood are going with a set of lineup. They're only bringing in DeGoey. I just think Collingwood's focus is better, and I'm going to disagree with the market. And come Sunday, I think I'll be pretty keen to double up on Collingwood.
Ooh, heard it here first. Punters, get on Collingwood and get on them hard from MG as we look to St George and the Gold Coast in NRL action. The Dragons 155, the Gold Coast Titans 245, the line minus 4.5, over under 51.5. Which way are you leaning here, Toprope?
You got Super Sunday down there in the AFL, OB. We got shit house Sunday up the NRL Sunday. A couple of absolutely rotten games. Look, the Dragons for mine are a better side. Titans probably flattered by playing the homophobes last week. Ran up their biggest score in over a year. Tend not to back up the performances. Tend to be very poor on the road. The Titans, the Dragons. Look, they're a different side on the plate. They've covered 7 of 8. They've covered 9 of 13 as a favourite. So this is just a good spot for them. I think they can cover the reasonably small line in this one and get the job done in a game that's probably not going to be as high scoring as many anticipate. So lean towards the under, but be back in the minus. Will be probably the best bet of Sunday.
I liked MG's enthusiasm for Sunday, and then Toprope's just come and deflated the balloon, and we're going to go to shithouse Sunday in the NRL. So for all punters out there, just watch the AFL. And most of them will be anyway, because it is the far better sport in Australia, that's for sure. As we look at the final games for round 23 in the AFL, GWS 270 against the Dockers 147, the line 13.5, over under 149.5. Anything there, MG?
Rock solid market here, both line and total here. OB is at Manica. GWS haven't got much to play for, and the Dockers do need a win with the way the schedule's set up for a chance of the top 4. I just think the Dockers, tough road trip for them. I just think they'll get the job done. They'll grind out this win.
Bringing Fife back from a hamstring in beautiful Canberra is another adds to that as well. As we look at North Melbourne and Gold Coast, the Kangaroos $3.40, Gold Coast 132, the line 23.5, over under 184.5. After today's announcement about Clarkson, I like the Kangaroos here. I reckon there's a few players that think, oh, geez, I've got to get my skates on here, and they might have a red hot crack at this.
Yeah, fair play. Don't mind that thinking. The market is not with you on that thought process. It opened 20 up to 23.5. Yeah, not a game I'd get involved in with the line betting. Not sure where North are out. And the game, man, they've lost 18 of 19, so I just don't think they've got the cattle to actually turn that around. They've got some players playing well, but geez, the list drops away quickly. So Clarko's got some work to do next year. Really keen on the total here, OB. One I earmarked, and I thought the bookies might come up a little low. They opened 172. It's been absolutely smashed to the overs. Might have had something to do with it, but yeah, this one-way traffic. This will be bruise-free football at the Dome. I think this could go as high as 190 to 200. Not in the betting, but don't be surprised if this total goes north of 200. This is a clear over game for me.
And the next game is just an absolute multi-fill-up. It's the Geelong Cats $1.02 versus the West Coast Eagles $15. The line minus 65.5, over under 167.5. This could be an absolute cricket score down there.
Yeah, big line to take, and you'll have to be patient in the cheer. But yeah, OB loves when I maybe say the 100-point plus. He likes those kind of cheers. The big Ric Flair. This is one of them. You'll get reasonable weather. Geelong have obviously won 12 in a row. They're at home 7-1 this year, and West Coast has just been a debacle. They've had 2 wins for the year. Don't be surprised if Geelong put 100 on me. An absolute training drill. West Coast are already on holidays.
Port Adelaide 136, the Crows 320, the line minus 19.5, over under 166.5. You don't mind this market, MG?
Yeah, really like this. We got on our bikes early, OB, in the week. Couldn't wait. Can't believe the bookies started -9, -10. So we sent this bet out early for Port Adelaide. Just one of those games where I rated it. I actually had it rated 25 here, so that's as big an out as I've had this year. So must bet situation. Yeah, took the -9, -10. Happy to tip it out. It's moved to 19. By game time, this will start with a -2 in front of it. So I think Port will win this game comfortably.
And the early game on Sunday, Hawthorn and the Bulldogs down in Tassie. Hawthorn 280, the Bulldogs $1.43, the line 16.5, over under 172.5. Now, this could be an absolute mood killer for the AFL if the Hawks get up here down in Tassie.
Yeah, the party poopers, they could play. Surely they don't spoil the party down there, OB, your team. But, word to the caution here for the punters that Hawthorn have got an unbelievable record down there. They do defend the ground well. They've got nothing to play for. The Bulldogs should get the job done. But, geez, the Bulldogs aren't playing great. They did start a little cheap in the market here, and it's been for the Bulldogs. But, yeah, not overly confident in this one. And just hopefully the Bulldogs get the job done and the Sunday plays out with the excitement with the 2 games to follow.
And the final game for the AFL regular season is the Saints at $3.25, the Swans $1.33, the line 18.5, over under 169.5. Dan Hanbury's last game in the AFL against his old club, that hasn't worked for the Saints. The Swans really need to win for that sort of top 2 and home final. So it looks like the Swans might go all out here.
Yeah, this might be one of the highest watched AFL home and away games for a long, long time, because so many clubs will be invested, because if Sydney win or lose, it basically decides every final game, I think it does, because the way they can drop around. But yeah, Sydney at the Dome, they've won 6 in a row, and St Kilda have lost 7 of their last 9. I think St Kilda are well and truly done and dusted. The market's pretty sold at 18, so it hasn't been a lot of movement. I think there might be some points in this game, and I think Sydney will win and win comfortably.
As we look to the NRL action for the remaining games of the round, the Cowboys $1.09 against the Warriors $7.75. The line minus 20.5, over under 51.5. That's the early game tonight. Top rope, anything doing there for the punters?
Yeah, the line's big enough here. This time of year is always a concern about big underdogs on the road who are out of the finals. So numbers probably dictate the Warriors are a bit. Dogs of 10 or more, scoring 30 plus a 7-1 against the spread. The Cowboys have covered a 6-15 for double-digit loss. Leaning towards the Warriors, but it's not going to be a pleasant watch. But there is a bet in this game. I think there's going to be plenty of points. The market agrees, 47.5 to 51.5. Big over spot both teams. Over 64% when a favourite of 16 or more comes off a loss. Favourites overs 10-3 when there's an underdog of 12.5 or more for a win of 20 plus. Big over angles every which way here. Not going to be a lot to play for the Warriors. So I think we're going to see some the ball spin a bit. They flogged the Dogs last week, so I think the over 51.5 remains a bet.
As we look to the early game on Saturday, is the Eels $1.32, Canterbury $3.50. The line minus 10, over under 48.5. I'm not sure if Barrett started yet, but there'll be plenty of intel for the Eels from the ex-Canterbury coach, so that only helps the Bulldogs, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what intel he's got. Didn't seem to have any idea when he was at the club, so I'm not sure what he's going to pass on. Maybe he can get in there early and average at about 10 points a game attack that he did such a good job with it. Look, great rivalry game, one of the best rivalries in footy. The line at face value seems a touch big here. Para have not been going great guns. They've covered just 6 of 7 as a favourite at CommBank. Dogs have to be taking a bit of trust here. They've scored 18 plus and 9 of 11 under Potter. They won 34-4 in round 14, so not that long ago. Leaning towards the Dogs, but not a lot of confidence in this game. Not a great betting game for mine, but going to be an absolute cracker.
And the Saturday night fixture sees the Roosters and the West Tigers take the field. The Roosters $1.05, West Tigers $10. The line minus 21.5, over under 49.5. The Roosters are just starting to hit their straps, top rope, and this looks all one-way traffic.
Yeah, one-way traffic, and that's going to kind of chime in with where history's been. In the last 23 meetings, the Roosters have covered a remarkable 20 of them. They won 19 of 21. The Roosters just have far too much attacking power and far too much to play for. The Tigers gave up a ghost last week. I thought it was a very, very poor performance against the Sharks, where they were entitled to probably try a bit harder there. I'll be just running the minus. I don't think they've got a lot without Jackson Hastings on the side. So the minus, and plenty of value on the over here too. It's big enough, but these games are usually very loose. And for those after a little bit of a Ric Flair, Daniel Tupou has a remarkable try-scoring record, 16 tries in 12 games against the Tigers. I'll be looking at him for 2 or more tries.
And the last game for the round on Sleepy Sunday sees the Newcastle Knights $3.40, the Canberra Raiders $1.32, the line 11.5, over under 44.5. Hopefully illness hasn't gone through the Knights. Any chance for the Knights to bounce back after their controversial off-field week?
Yeah, I've got no idea in this game. This is a really, really hard game to assess. You'd be absolutely mad to level 11.5 points for the Raiders on the road, considering how they've been playing lately. But how could you back the Knights with any confidence at all? They've got a shocking record at home, covered 1 of 9. Got a poor record as a home underdog, covered just 3 of 14. So probably lost slightly in the under and just back a couple of incompetent attacks to reign supreme here. But not a great betting game to finish off a pretty ordinary Sunday.
Well, thank you, Toprope. A reminder, punters can locate GGOA for $22 a week in the littlebirdie.live shop for all your NRL betting action, and the AFL Stings also for $22 a week in the littlebirdie.live shop for all the AFL betting action. Toprope, we got there in the end, mate. Thank you for your time. We'll see you again next week when we preview some bumper AFL finals and also some more NRL action. But thanks for your time and have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too, OB. Always a pleasure to chat, and glad we could do it after the old technical difficulties kicked us off a bit late.
And MG, a great week for AFL punting. Some cracking games. You going to go out to the field proper at some stage?
Yeah, I might get to the Carlton Collingwood game. I think it'd be rude not to, but yeah. Massive weekend. Hopefully it plays out and we sets up a big Sunday.
Absolutely. That's a wrap for this week's Friday Lions. Thanks to MG and Toprope and Borco on the panels. Follow us on YouTube. Find us in the Apple Store, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and wherever you listen to all your good podcasts. Follow us at Little Birdie TV on Twitter and Instagram. Remember, all your footy betting action can be found at topsport.com.au. We'll be back next Friday. Don't forget to join Nikki and the boys for first look for the weekend's action review. Punt well, punt responsibly, and have a great weekend, punters.